Hello YouTubers, this is Demon0981's, and now I know I said I was going to do a mythical monster list, but to tell you the truth, I found something even worse. I had now seen the MysteriousMrEnter. There's top 25 disturbing moments of childhood, and for the most part, I give it 3 thumbs up. But since we humans only have 2 thumbs, I will give the highest rating possible, which would be 2 thumbs. Also, well, in case you're wondering why the title above is the top 25 worst SpongeBob episodes, it's because I found a bunch of them after MysteriousMrEnter's animation Atrocities. And unfortunately, some of the entries on this list are going to be basically the same entries he has covered himself. But there will be some new ones too. All I have to say is that with SpongeBob Squarepants reaching its 10th season and its 2nd movie, and getting another season after that, I have to agree with Mr. Enter. SpongeBob needs to die. Although, to be honest, I haven't seen it for such a long time, I kind of forget in most of the episodes. Which is, if you'll pardon me by saying this, I will be reading some of the stuff off of the SpongeBob Wiki. Yeah, there is actually a SpongeBob Squarepants Wiki. But let's not beat around the bush. Let's go on with the atrocities that SpongeBob Squarepants has put us through. Starting with number 25, SpongeBob, you're fired. Now, Mr. Enter has already covered this one, and in its own animation atrocity review. I'm going to paraphrase. The whole plot of the episode is SpongeBob gets fired, and he actually stays fired right until the end of the episode. Question: this one was supposed to be a special, which means something really bad must have happened, and that the Krusty Krab for SpongeBob to finally get fired. Although there were a couple of other times where SpongeBob got fired in the first place, such as, the episode when Sandy and SpongeBob were addicted to karate, and a bunch of other episodes like that. I take that back. Mr. Krabs has only fired Patrick numerous times, and she's only fired SpongeBob once. But that was a fluke. And I really hate the reason why SpongeBob gets fired. It's so Mr. Krabs can save a nickel. Really, out of all the reasons to fire SpongeBob, it was a nickel. Oh, and at the end of the episode, all Mr. Krabs does, is so he can get SpongeBob back, is to put in a paid latrine, which is like a porta potty, in order to get back the money he spent. Now, seeing as Mr. Krabs is not one for spending money rather than hoarding it, there are some problems with this. But I'll get to that when I get to that. Number 24, the Little Yellow Book. Basically, it's the opposite of Patrick's Box. That's in that Squidward finds out that SpongeBob has a secret and wants to exploit it to others. And he even tells one of the customers that he's reading SpongeBob's diary, and they tell me more. I want to hear more about what SpongeBob has in store, or in that book. And of course, when they realize that it is SpongeBob's book, question, Squidward already mentioned this to one customer. He at least could have told everyone else. And the way they do, they criticize Squidward for doing something they were all a part of. They were all accomplices. And it gets worse, because Squidward gets punished for it. And yeah, technically he does deserve it. That is until SpongeBob decides to forgive him by telling him, oh no, that's not my personal diary. That's just my work diary. SpongeBob, come here. Yeah, come here. Squidward got kicked out of his own house because he read your diary. And the diary that he read wasn't your personal diary. It was a work diary. Next. Number 23. Squid Baby. Oh boy. Yes, like I said before, MysteriousMrEnter is mentioned this episode too. And I really do not like this one at all. Especially since they put Squidward through so much. It starts with them annoying Squidward because SpongeBob finds old baby toys. Which causes Squidward to get hurt to the point where his head swells up, basically dumbing him down. Oh, and according to doctor's orders, and I quote, if Squidward gets any more head trauma, he can remain this way permanently. What's the first thing that happens? They drop him on his head. And they toss him up to the ceiling, and hitting his head, and a bunch of other stuff. Number 22. Accidents will happen. If I remember correctly, accidents will happen, and is the episode where SpongeBob, after some accident, while skiing, and oh man, how on earth am I going to explain this? Okay, basically the premise is this. Oh, wait. No, that's another one. And I was thinking about. So, but never mind. I'll continue on to this. The premise of accidents will happen is that Squidward is injured at work. It forces Mr. Crab to pamper him while he recovers, so that he doesn't blackmail him. Right. So in other words, he's blackmailing Mr. Krabs. As the shelf where the buns were kept wasn't securely fastened to the wall. Oh, he fell off and got hurt. If Mr. Krabs does not pamper Squidward to all of his needs, he would have to find to OWS. I'm not quite sure what that is though. Oh, but it sounds really big if you're in the food industry. And because of this, SpongeBob goes out to solve the mystery on how exactly this happened. It turns out that Mr. Krabs had a security camera set up, which he probably stole. Oh. And when everyone watches the video, Squidward's just being his usual lazy self and sleeping on the shelf. Apparently weighing it down to the point where it causes the chain to snap, causing him to fall down. So basically, that's all on him. And when is Squidward getting comeuppance in this episode? Well, now he has to repay Mr. Krabs for everything. And he did. And make him do. Such as giving him a back massage, pop back barnacles, which I guess is like zits. Ugh. Yeah, this is another one of those episodes I wish you would review. In fact, this whole list I'm doing, he might end up reviewing or is already reviewed. Number 21, Face Freeze. We all know about Face Freeze. It's one of the most disturbing episodes of SpongeBob, other than the Splinter. Because it's basically about SpongeBob and Patrick making disturbingly grotesque faces. It says, until Mr. Krabs tells them a story about a guy who made faces to the point where his face actually froze. They decided to go without making faces for an entire, based upon the show, 5 minutes. And then they start making faces again. Until they get the bright idea to make a face, to each make like the most hideous face they can make, and keep it that way throughout the entire day. If they can change back to normal in the morning, Mr. Krabs was lying. As it turns out, though, in the morning their faces do actually freeze that way. So they go to Sandy and help them out, and through some kind of twisted form of facial massage, she makes them look even worse. And then you know the rest. Mr. Krabs and Squidward get grotesque faces as well. Number 20, Plankton's Army. You all remember the Krusty Krab training video where they were or near the end of the episode, they were going to tell us the secret formula to Krabby Patties? Well, in this episode, they kind of almost did. Plankton's Army is mostly about Plankton and the again attempt to try and steal the secret Krabby Patty formula. But because there's only one of him around, he is constantly getting crushed, stepped on, splatted, flushed, spitballed, or a bunch of other stuff, until he realizes it's that, wait a minute, maybe if I get some henchmen, and then I can probably accomplish this goal. And that's due to him. I'm calling up the entire Plankton family. And by the way, we get to learn Plankton's actual name, Sheldon. And it turns out Plankton's relatives are a bunch of rednecks. And quite frankly, they actually do a pretty good job of it helping Plankton out. And this is actually one of the few episodes where Plankton actually wins, technically. Although it's kind of a cop-out at the end of the episode, seeing as it's not the actual secret formula recipe. So you made us build up all that tension for nothing. Lame. Number 19, speaking of lame, house sitting for Sandy. Yeah, I'm just going to summarize it real quick so we can move on. SpongeBob and Patrick are left house sitting for Sandy while she's away. She tells them not to destroy anything, but turns out they do. She gets back, they think she's going to kill him with the ray gun that she has with her. But it turns out it was part of her experiment and to see what would happen. And the ray gun would actually fix everything that was broken. Number 18. Now, in MysteriousMrEnter's top 20 Squidward tortures episodes, Smooth Jazz at Bikini Bottom was one of them. And I will agree on that. Other than the fact that Patrick had no reason to be in the episode other than to cause more torture to Squidward, it's just plain old annoying. And Squidward has concert tickets to his performance. And Patrick eats his pass. There's a radio contest. SpongeBob actually wins the extra ticket. And backstage passes. Patrick eats those too. Squidward finally gets to see Kelpie G himself, but is turned away by the manager. And Kelpie G is SpongeBob playing ukulele. God, I think I just rhymed there. And so instead of Squidward getting to perform with Kelpie G, it's SpongeBob. Yeah, in case you're wondering, most of these episodes are going to be either Squidward tortures, Patrick's a prick, or in some cases, SpongeBob's a prick. Number 17, Demolition Doofus. This is probably one of my favorite review and atrocity reviews MysteriousMrEnter has done. The premise of the episode: SpongeBob causes Mrs. Puff to inflate it so much that she actually ruptures her inflation sac. I'm not sure pufferfish actually have that. Possibly not. But this is a cartoon. What logic can there possibly be? So basically, yeah, SpongeBob crippled for the character in the show. Actually, this is the first time. And Mrs. Puff is rightfully pissed off at him. Especially when he makes the remark, I guess we'll have to call you, Mrs. Huff now. or something like that. And you know what the stupid part about it is, and I agree with Mr. Enter 100% of this episode, and how it turns out. Mrs. Puff is in the right for being mad at SpongeBob. But there is a fine line between anger and homicidal rage. Because when she gets the idea of entering SpongeBob in the demolition derby, she wants to do it to see him die. And of course, this is one of the, you might think this is one of those episodes where, let's see, it's a Mrs. Puff episode, let's see what's going to happen here. Usually at the end she gets arrested. Wait, what? No police? Yeah, think about it that way. Like in any other Mrs. Puff episode, the police usually come to arrest her for some stupid reason. So let me get this straight. It's perfectly fine to try and murder someone. It's okay for employers to pay their workers with play money, cause rivals to commit suicide, beside counterfeit soap and money. They serve just straight up grease. And a bunch of other stuff. But if you read someone's diary, or if you're a boating instructor, you're just flat. I'm a troublemaker. Number 16, stuck in the ringer. This is what I like to call, SpongeBob is in the right episode. But basically because Patrick left his rubber duck at SpongeBob's house for some odd reason, which causes him to get stuck in his ringer, which is like an old-fashioned dryer air press. And when SpongeBob asks Patrick for help, he super glues him to it. And throughout the episode, we're supposed to conflict ourselves between either siding with Patrick or siding with SpongeBob. By the episode pieces on, we're siding with SpongeBob because Patrick's just being a prick and a jerk. Dude, you've basically made your friend stuck in something probably for the rest of his life. You can't even eat. He can't even move his arms. And meanwhile, you're having the time of your life. Then until SpongeBob finally has it and calls Patrick out, vote for it. And yes, he is in the right for being pissed off at Patrick, but then like in Little Yellow Book, everybody turns on SpongeBob, chastising it and for being mad. Number 15. Remember when I said Mr. Crab should have gotten arrested for selling and just straight out grease to his customers? Greasy Buffoons is that episode. And this is going to be one of those episodes where, of course, Plankton is involved somehow. When Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob don't those deep fryer grease is on Plankton's property. He comes up with the idea of using it in his recipes, thus making English chum taste a little bit better. And yeah, basically it turns to a who can make the better tasting food, or who can make the customers sick easier or first. It is until SpongeBob calls the health department. And it ends with SpongeBob soaking up all the grease and Patrick chasing him because he tastes like Krabby Patties. Whatever. Oh, God. Just one. Number 14 and 13. Let's go with number 14 first, of course. A pal for Gary. Shoot me. A pal for Gary is one of the SpongeBob is a prick episodes. And that he doesn't care or that Gary is happy of being alone. But because SpongeBob is paranoid and worries about Gary though too much, and he stops by a gypsy's wagon to see these cute little fish furry things. I don't know what they are exactly, but apparently they do not like other pets, and become extremely vicious when exposed to them. Just give me a minute, let me take a drink. Anyway, where was I? Well, while the gypsy is trying to tell SpongeBob of the dangers about these things, he's not listening. He just takes one and walks away without paying. He brings it home and shows Gary a Puppy Fluffy. I don't know why, but I like that name. But I do not like what they used it for her. And we can already tell right away what's going to happen. And Gary tries to be friends with Puppy Fluffy. But the little scale ball, I think it would be the best term in this situation, and growls like some sort of monster and basically causes a bunch of trouble. And of course, SpongeBob is completely oblivious and blames Gary for it. And that is until later, or that evening, Puffy Fluffy sheds its skin and becomes what I'm assuming is either a prehistoric monster or fish or something that the writer don't want to explain him to the viewers at all. Well, this time it wants to eat Gary. Yeah, sure, now that's big enough, I suppose it can. Of course, SpongeBob, being oblivious, does one of the dumbest things possible. He tries to scold Gary while the Puffy Fluffy monster is trying to eat him, until it notices SpongeBob and turns its attention towards him. Gary plays the hero by chasing out with the monster. You get scolded for it, and end of episode. Number 13, Pet Sarah Pat, which is a ripoff of number 14, and just replace Puffy Fluffy with Patrick. After let's move on. Number 12, One Course Meal. In this, after discovering that Plankton's afraid of whales, in particular Pearl, Well, Mr. Krabs tries to basically scare his plankton to the point where he just wants to end it all. Oh, and when SpongeBob tells Mr. Krabs that maybe it's about time they'd stop, Mr. Krabs reminds SpongeBob that, well, this wouldn't really happen if you didn't expose the location of the secret formula. Touché. But that's no excuse. And correct me if I'm not mistaken, but wasn't there a special where Plankton and Mr. Krabs were, well, I don't know, friends at one point? Number 11, Trench Billies. This is about the closest thing to deliverance I can explain. Patrick and SpongeBob are in jellyfish fields doing what else? Jellyfishing until they fall in a trench, which leads basically to an underground chasm or whatever. There were all these anglerfish happen to live. And yeah, I know they're anglerfish because there's Big Mama has a little glue on her head. And this is probably one of the stupidest episodes possible. Because it's basically pointing on the redneck stereotype. It's such as rednecks are uneducated. They're incestuous. All I know how to do is play banjo, holler, and wrestle. Other than that, I find it incredibly funny too. I'm going with number 10. Number 10, Dear Vikings. Now I'm going to say something right off the bat. I'm originally from Minnesota, home of the Vikings. And I am pretty familiar with Viking thing lore. But when SpongeBob does something like this, it just makes me laugh. To hear the Vikings. That being from the Midwest, I get that getting this a lot. Yeah, have some sort of accent. And where exactly are you from? Minnesota. Oh, that's Canada, huh? No, it's not from Canada. But basically it's this. SpongeBob wants to learn more about Vikings, so he writes a letter to this Viking tribe. If these Vikings come in, all of them are named Olaf, except for one, Gordon. Actually, kind of did. This is Olaf. 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 Thank you. And let me guess, your name is, that's right, Gordon. Of course, SpongeBob has asked some strange questions like, what do Vikings do for fun? Good question. What do we do for fun? What about the shield toss? Good point. Hey, what now? Flaming shield toss, okay. What else do we do? Oh, you like the same? No, we don't. Actually, SpongeBob, what Vikings did for fun was rape, pillage, and burn down villages, abduct people, steal, witches, and basically overthrow hierarchies. It basically means a really bad ending. Then just when you think it would get good. Number 9, Giant Squidward. I don't know why MysteriousMrEnter didn't add this into one of the top Squidward torture episodes. because this one does actually count as one. Mostly because Squidward just wants to work on his garden. SpongeBob and Patrick come by to annoy him, and they steal this miracle growth of stuff, which is supposed to help plants grow, but apparently makes whatever's sprayed with it bigger. Until they decide to spray Squidward, they're turning him into a giant. And when Squidward starts chasing him, the townspeople all rally up and try to get rid of him. So, and because as of one the absence of one Gesundheit, and Squidward's getting chased by townspeople again, to the point where they've set up a giant bear trap in front of his house. Now evicted from his home because of his size, is Squidward, or it's all alone in the plains. Or is he? Turns out SpongeBob and Patrick are camping out in his belly button. And actually, SpongeBob and Patrick actually get the point here. They have definitely screwed up. So to make up for it, they construct this giant paper mache clarinet that Squidward is actually able to play it really well. That is until the growth serum spray and it wears off. It goes back to normal size. And you want to know the secret of how they made the clarinet? Well, they used the kelp from Squidward's garden. Just one stab at another. Number 8. Atlantis Squarepants, enough said. And let's move on to number 7. And To Love a Patty. Another disgusting episode I would really not talk about. Number 6. Boat Smarts. Another SpongeBob's a Prick episode, and another Squidward torture episode. Oh, this is like one of those little shorts in between actual episodes. Oh, it's time being a training video. Oh, for driving. And while Squidward is able to drive very well and is obeying all the rules, SpongeBob's not. Many wonders why he never got his driver's license yet. Number 5. Waiting. Nothing but filler. Number 4. Squid's Visit. This is probably one of the creepiest episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants. The cartoon heroes covered this one. MysteriousMrEnter's covered this one. I'm surprised. There's I found many other YouTubers that have covered this. The premise, if we don't already know, is that SpongeBob wants Squidward to come for a visit, but since Squidward has no reason to go to SpongeBob's house whatsoever, he keeps on refusing. Until SpongeBob gets the idea, well, I might as well just take something from Squidward and keep it at my house until he decides to come over. Let's see here. Stealing, breaking, and entering, holding someone against their will within your own house, causing them to go insane, and yep, SpongeBob, you should be in jail. Because SpongeBob actually makes the entire inside of his house the same exact replica of Squidward's house. Then keep in mind while all this is going on, and Squidward's house is slowly burning down because he forgot to turn off the oven. Or, oh wait a minute. Yeah, that's actually a good point. If Squidward never would have turned off the oven, his house wouldn't have burned down. However, if SpongeBob didn't restore the vacuum, he wouldn't have a reason to leave his house. I'm a little confused and disturbed. Number 3, Cephalopod Lodge. We all know about this one. Squidward's in part they have a secret club. SpongeBob and Patrick ruin it for him and then get kicked out. But because of this, Squidward tries to get back in, but they refuse until SpongeBob and Patrick dress up as a giant white eel using a realistic sock. And then when Squidward finally gets back into the Cephalopod Lodge, they mess it up by ruining it for him again. Now, I will warn you, numbers 2 and 1, I put on the list mostly because they are so disturbing and there's something and I really do not like about them. Number 2 is House Fancy. And we all know why. In the toenail scene. Basically, Squidward it's watching a show. Oh, which is like Cribs. And then Squidward is basically exploiting his riches and his house, which apparently is a lot nicer than Squidward's. Who cares? Being fed up with this, Squidward called in the show to tell him that he's got a fancier house than Squilliam. And now here's the problem. He's got to make the house very fancy. See, and it turns out that SpongeBob's been eavesdropping the entire time. And he willingly says it too. Oh, but in the end, Squidward wins. And because his house is actually deemed more fancy than Squilliam's, even though it's basically destroyed. Now on to number 1. This, I believe, is one of the worst episodes of SpongeBob. A lot worse than the movie. A lot worse than episodes past the movie. Being all the TV movies, specials. The Splinter. I think we all know why. This is Demon0981 and saying, I may not know that much about SpongeBob anymore because for some odd reason my cable doesn't show Nickelodeon anymore, so I might be out of the loop. But as long as I have watched cartoononline.com, anything's possible. Tune in next time as I go over a video that Elan and I tried to do before, but somehow got deleted. Oh wait, I deleted it. Mostly because I couldn't get the sound to work on it. It would be the top 10 other animated villains. Happy late Halloween and happy late Day of the Dead. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, this is Demon0981 saying adios, sayonara, zaijian, and SpongeBob die in a grave.